Sometimes I get extra virgin olive oil because I do not want people having sex with my oil.
He'll never give up, he'll stay till he fights one. Bob Hansen is there. Bob Hansen, your wacky next door neighbor. Bob Hansen is there. Bob Hansen. Yowza.
Rock and roll daddy! What's going on, Bob Squad? This is the beginning of Wacky Next Door Neighbor. I recorded the wrestling portion already. I'm making some salmon. I'm in my new kitchen. This kitchen was quarantined for about 5 days. There was a leaky dishwasher in the vacant unit next to Bob, and no one was going to do nothing about it because it was vacant and there was nobody home. Lights are on. Actually, no, the lights were off and nobody was home. That's even worse. This is foil. But my plans haven't been foiled yet because I'm going to make some salmon. Gonna make a little din-din for the old Barbarino, huh? That's Odie in the background, shaking, doing his thing, saying his stuff. I went to the Vons supermarket. I purchased some new olive oil cooking spray, so that'll make the salmon a delicious treat. Okay? Oh, I'm happy to have my kitchen back. There is some kind of faint water damage. Ooh, that smells very olive oily. Sometimes I get extra virgin olive oil because I do not want people having sex with my oil. Happy to have my kitchen back. I have free run of my own apartment again, which is very nice. I get the pre-packaged kind of cook salmon. I gotta heat up the gimmick here. This bad boy, this Vincent Gambini, this Mama Jamma Daddy. What's been going on in Bob's world? I did that mic drop, that April 11th mic drop, the Gold Room, the comedy club show. You know, we had a small, mighty crowd, maybe not a huge commercial success, but we had enough people, and a big creative success, though. I was able to do, I was happy with the 45 minutes I did. I felt that I held the people, and that, you know, if it was 50 folks instead of 17, then that 45 would have easily been in the low 50s, and I think I held their attention very well. 2 big, long wrestling stories at the end, as promised, which was very cool. That was almost half the set. So it wasn't just the jokey jokes you've heard and whatnot. And everyone laughed in the right places, and it was held the attention the way I wanted to. I was happy with that. Just got to keep getting up there and getting in front of more people. So it's a tricky animal. Not just getting stage time, but getting a chunk of stage time is not so easy, no matter who you are, where you are, what you say, what you know. Tip the veal, try the waitress. I am enjoying my salmon. There's some shows out of the way. If you're in San Diego, I'm at the Madhouse Comedy Club this Friday and Saturday, April 26th, 27th, 8 o'clock and 10:30 shows. So find the Madhouse Comedy Club in an easy Google search in San Diego. Thursday, hopefully this is out on time, April 25th, 7 p.m. I'm in Normal Heights at the Normal Heights Theater, and I'll be on the second half of the Best of San Diego as well at the Comedy Store in La Jolla, 916 Pearl Street. Do not park at Pavilion. I've been watching some more HBO Max. I've been checking out some documentaries. I've been watching really sad, horrible, terrible documentaries about people getting murdered, and that Alex Jones fellow lying about the Sandy Hook. That's no good. I don't really like him too much, to be honest with you. I was a conspiracy guy, but don't get mad. It was before it meant what it means. No, it was, I want to say 2008, 2009, 2010, that kind of area. I had to watch all the YouTube docs and this, that, and the other thing, and get all into that stuff before it just got too political. And I moved to New York in 2012, and that's when your day is so dark and sad in New York City anyway. Like, I just couldn't watch anymore. But I pretty much got out of the game, and then thankfully at the right time, because it went south. He is not a likable human being there. There was one called Mostly Harmless. It's about a hiker dude who was hiking the Appalachian Trail, and some people met him along the hiking trail because the hikers tend to meet each other, but then he died. He was found starved, even though he had medicine or whatever, and he turns out he was actually a really mean, abusive guy. Anyway, I watched Quiet on Set. It's about the Nickelodeon kids who were abused in all sorts of different terrible ways by various staff who should not have been hired. Yeah, I watched a lot of terrible things. I just watched a lot of really sad, awful things. But I watched WWE Monday Night Raw, Hulu edition. You'll hear about that all in the time code and the stampity stamp and whatnot. I'm down to, I'd say 203, 204 pounds. From last summer, I was in low 220s, so I'm still close. Every time I'm so close to my 199 goal, I think I had 201 even at some point over the weekend, and I was so close. I did not get into my high 190s, but I'm like 4 pounds away. I can do it. I can do the thing, Daddy. What else is going on? Why am I asking you? This is rhetorical, and it's pre-taped. Doesn't make any sense. May 10th, I'm in Los Angeles. I'm going to be in Los Angeles, California for the first time in 12 years. I hate Los Angeles. I don't want to go, but I'm opening up. My good buddy Zoltan is part of the Netflix Is a Joke, the Netflix Comedy Festival. And I'm not part officially of the thing. I'm just opening up for him and warming things up and everything else. But it'll be cool to be a part of, and so many San Diego comedians are part of the thing. It'll be nice to not be left out and everything else. And I got to put the doggies in the doggy hotel. There you go. Bob Squad shirts are available, whatever the link is. It's somewhere. TeePublic. I have a cool one of these. I should have worn it. It looks like the Guns N' Roses Illusion albums from '91, but they got taken down within a half an hour, and I was only able to order one shirt and a couple of stickers. So so I'm gonna have the only Use Your Illusions Bob Squad style T-shirt, which I think that's the thing. I haven't even worn it yet on anything. I don't want to wear it on anything because if someone says, "How can I get it?" they can't, and I feel like an ass. So I don't want to do that to people. That'll teach me a lesson. I gave up about 2 or 3 weeks ago when my gout and my sprained ankle were hitting me back to back. Even the zero sugar soda, I'm off. I've been off all the soda for like 2.5 weeks, and I think that's why the weight's going down. I thought the zero sugar wouldn't do anything, but it still must have been doing something bad. So no more. You can still enjoy Wild Cherry Pepsi Zero, which tastes just like regular Wild Cherry Pepsi, but none of the sugar and half the calories. And go to PepsiCola.com/cherry/0. Enter promo code BobSquad, and nothing happens. It's a complete waste of your time. But now I'm not. I'm just drinking my room temperature water. And unfortunately, this is probably not good for you either, but I got hooked on these, and this isn't good. These Celsius Live Fit drinks. These ones say no aspartame, which is good because aspartame, you don't want to pain in your aspartame. No high fructose corn syrup, only low fructose corn syrup, and no artificial colors. Okay, which is kind of silly. Like, you can't make up a new color, right? Blue. We've all heard of blue, so that's kind of stupid. How does it work? I don't know. Green teas, yada, 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 yada. Probably not FDA approved at all. Probably still bad. Says it accelerates metabolism, burns body fat. I don't know about that. I don't know. Words are big. Arctic Frozen Berry Vibe Edition. I hope these aren't too bad. But they're expensive. That's the other thing, too. I've been having 2 a day, and I think 1 a day is feasible. What are you going to do? You can taste the blue. They're not a sponsor. No one is touching me. They're not going near me. I'm just being the best Bob I can be. It's wrestling time. I'm going to have some salmon. Turn on my light there. It is obviously not ready yet. Raw. Hooah. Good God. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Actually, no, it was really good. April 22nd, 2024, Monday Night Raw, Hulu edition. Not limited enough commercial interruption. That's what we're talking about. It's me, I'm Bob, I'm back with your wacky next door neighbor. This is the wrestling half. We're talking about the specific Monday Night Raw. Michael Cole and Pat McAfee, they are the announcers, but they're standing in the ring, which is not usually where they reside. They have microphones and they say words into them, and they tell us that tonight there will be a new women's champion crowned. It'll be the winner of a battle royal. The winner of a battle royal, and all the women on the roster who are not injured will be in the ring, and they will throw one another over the top rope and onto the ring apron. It's the hardest part of the ring, and they will stand on the ring apron for a very long time. So that will be fun. What do I think of this? One of the biggest differences in the Triple H era, or whatever they're calling it, is stuff happens on Raw now. Even though it's a 3-hour show and they need to drag and drag, stuff happens. A year ago, a few months ago, the new women's champion would have been crowned at, I guess, Backlash would be the next thing. They said, nah, screw it. 1 week after Rhea says it's vacant, the thing's only vacant for a week, and they said, no, we'll do a new champion now. Now, this does mean that at Backlash, assuming that title is defended, obviously it's very unlikely there will be a new champion, but who knows. But stuff happened. Jey Uso came to the ring and he yeeted like so, and Damian Priest interrupted him. Priest could have spoken louder, I think. I think he has more conviction in the backstage stuff. We'll get to that. I'm going to sniffle a lot. Like so, sorry about that. Allergies or something, and it's only when I record. Next, this is puzzling. Jey Uso said, Priest, they're not going to feed me to you, which is more like a wrestling type of term. Like, oh, I'm not going to be the first of a handful of guys they just have you beat, which is kind of weird and a little kayfabe fourth wallish there for my taste, but whatever. Judgment Day McDonough. McDonough bad thing because he sneaks up on the Yeetster and the Yeetster ducks, and he kicks Priest instead, and I guess this wasn't a planned thing, so Priest is yelling at various Judgment Day people. Then there's an ad about the throne and all the wrestlers that have sat on the throne and how much time wrestlers sit on the throne, and we see shots of various famous wrestlers sitting on the throne in the past and getting business done. It's a King of the Ring thing. I forget when they said exactly this. So they're doing a tournament just to get a new contender into the thing, which is similar to Money in the Bank, but I guess it's the same purpose, but I think it's a different way of getting there. He's creating legitimate contenders. You know, your King of the Ring is going to be a contender for something. Your Money in the Bank is always a threat, a little dark cloud hanging over, yada yada yada. And there'll be a Queen of the Ring, of course. So, you know, if you're into that type of thing, there'll be women sitting on a throne as well. That's not for me to judge, as long as everything's consensual. The team of DUIs driving all over the place recklessly, and they run into Awesome Truth backstage. Or do they wrestle them? I watched this a day ago. I really don't recall. But DUI and Awesome Truth. Oh, yes, they have a wrestling match for the Tag Team Championship. See, again, a year ago, you would have waited the full month, or really WrestleMania to Backlash. Usually they wait a little bit. It's more like a 5-6 week type of deal. And stuff. Hi, Odie. He's under the blanket, just being goofy. They usually wait. And again, just like the Women's Battle Royal thing, stuff's happening. So they're... Obviously, I mean, it's very unlikely the tag titles are going to change hands, but they're defending it. It's, you know, it's being, the wrestling is mattering. The wrestling matters here. So, sorry again, I'm going to sniffle a lot. Ciampa selling a knee injury here. I wasn't sure, but I think it does work. It's their tease. They're working into something here. We know Triple H loves his DUI team. They hit a 1-2-3 on Gargano, Johnny Gargano. Good old Gargamel takes the pin there. The Awesome Truth defeats them. It's a babyface tag team match. You know what it's going to be, what it's going to be. I don't even remember who, if anyone, took on the heel role of, getting that heat, but at least legal heat, I guess. Or feeding for the comeback, I should say. I really don't recall. They probably did both. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. They did a thing where Gargamel shakes the hands of Miz and R-Truth, but Tommaso Ciampa did not. He was not the champion that he wanted to be. Jokes. We're backstage, and now Damian Priest is wide awake when there is not 15,000 people screaming at him. And he's yelling, he's the champion, and He's yelling at everyone. He's more mad at his friends than his opponents, it seems. It seems like Jey Uso was trying to convince himself he's not just being fed to Priest, because this angle is about Priest versus Judgment Day, not Priest versus Jey Uso. Tried as they might, no. But we'll see what happens. So Dominic has his arm in a sling as well. They didn't really talk about it all that much. I don't know what's going on there. But, of course, they do a thing where Dominic his buddy Escobar is conveniently there and Priest is annoyed. And I think that sets up Dominic and Escobar versus Andrade and... was it? No, it was Ricochet a little later on. Anyway, Gunther is in the ring. He wasn't on the post. He wasn't seen for a little bit after WrestleMania. I think 2 weeks off he had off of Raw. And Gunther is in a sweater. Okay, it's cold. It's there in April. They're in Ohio in April, so he's chilly. And the New Day. I usually like the New Day, and I did not today. This was not my day for the New Day. I don't think it was their day, the New Day. I think at the end of the day, it could have been the end of the New Day. This wasn't their day. The humor and the funny noises and whatnot was just for me. I wasn't feeling it. I just have trouble. They haven't been used in a serious role, and I kind of feel like because of the way R-Truth is, Miz and R-Truth, the tag champs, they've already got comedy and tag team covered. It just kind of felt redundant for New Day to be like, hey, why are all the good guy tag teams goofy? I don't understand. What has to be wrong with you? Anyway, the New Day, they argue with Gunther and take shots about how he's no longer the champion. But the thing is, Gunther kind of accepted accountability already. Gunther cut a good promo here. He's greatly improved in that area. He explained he lost to Sammy. He can move on. He's still proud. He had the greatest, conveniently 666 days of Intercontinental Championship reign. So he was great in that. And he's got his eyes set on the world title now. Or I think did he enter himself in the King of the Ring? I don't know, but I assume he just wins it. Just give it to him. I mean, what are we doing here? And then he could go after... Gunther and Cody is what everybody seems to have in their mind, and I'm with that. Anyway, the New Day wrestle. The other two Imperium guys, Ludwig Borga and Da Vinci McMahon or something like that. I don't know. So anyway, Leonardo Da Vinci gets his ass kicked, and Ludwig, what's his name, Kaiser? No, Borga's dead. Ludwig Kaiser beats the crap out of Da Vinci. They finally did a whole gimmick here, and they elevated him. I think it was smart to wait till after WrestleMania, of course, which makes sense because there's too much going on. It would all get lost. But Da Vinci, the Ludwig guy, walks past Gunther backstage, who is still in his sweater. And even though he is no longer chilly, he is happier, and he smiles at Ludwig. So Gunther and Ludwig are still friendly, and Gunther still approves of Ludwig because he saw that Ludwig took out the trash, so to speak. No offense to Leonardo da Vinci, but that's the end. That's all she wrote. That's yesterday's breakfast. Drew McIntyre is the best guy on this show. My goodness, much fun. He comes out. He tells the people of Ohio that they French kiss their cousins, and their love affair is with their right hand because they're furiously masturbating, I assume. And what did he say about CM Punk? I don't know what that had to do with CM Punk, but anyway, he's sitting cross-legged. He's doing the Punk thing, and Sheamus. Okay, I want to talk about this. Last week, Sheamus returned after many months of neck surgery, I believe. And he was a bit bigger, and not in a good way. He was a bit chubbier. And when you're pale, they always say the old Arn Anderson quote, what's that, fat looks better tan? Well, Sheamus is pale naturally, and he has to stay pale for his gimmick. So when you are that white, every ounce of fat is amplified, okay? And, he didn't look his best. He's still, for a 45, I think he's a year old, for a 45-year-old man, he's still like in the top 1% of 45-year-old people living in America. But nevertheless, you're in the business of being on TV in your underwear, etc., etc. And he still looked good, but he's next to all these tanned guys with abs. Who did he wrestle? last week, I forget. He wrestles Nakamura eventually here, but we'll get to that. But he goes back and forth with Drew, and I would criticize this. I'm tempted to be just a little critical that these, just so I'm not a hypocrite, that these guys are having the Are We Friends, You're My Friend fight that makes AEW so stupid and bad. But since it's the only one of all the angles on this show doing it, it's forgivable. Same thing with Bailey and Damage Control. You were my friend, you're not my friend. But it's not an entire show of everyone complaining about who's friends and not being friends anymore. So if there's one angle per show doing it, it's like, oh, whatever, okay. They need to talk about something, but it's just not overdone. So, and they do have a long history, obviously, those two, and it's been no secret. So if any two people are going to do a friendship type of conversation on the show, it should be them. So I guess that's why I'm giving it a pass. Be mad at me, AEW fan. I don't care. AEW fans and WWE fans alike are still not watching this, so you'll see the numbers. It doesn't matter. Whatever. So anyway, of course, this got replayed. Sheamus used to do the banger after banger thing with Drew, and Drew changed it to burger after burger because Sheamus is fatter. But no, I want to say this. In 7 days since Sheamus returned, this guy trained and dieted like such a beast. His 7-day progress looks like everyone else's 6-month progress. So I remember, and I'm going to pat myself on the back. An inward, I told me so, I guess. That's a fun segment. I told me so. I said to myself, in a month, all these people making fun of them are going to be shut up, and they'll still look like crap, and they'll still be crappy people, and he's going to look awesome and probably still be a pretty awesome dude. So, 7 days. He looks like he did months worth of work. So give him another month and you'll be like, oh, never mind. He looks like he did. His explanation on Twitter, he seemed to be taking it, in good stride. Pretty much kind of and again, I told me so. This is my guess. Like he probably just got called up a bit sooner than he thought and was like, well, I gotta go. I'll try my best and suck it up without sucking it in. Oh my goodness. Anyway. Sheamus had a great comeback. He says, you know what, I'll lose the weight, but you can't lose stupid. And that was tremendous. There was some watch your back line that Drew said, but he said it in a way that was vague. You couldn't tell if he was saying it to Sheamus or that he would watch Sheamus's back. He kind of phrased it. He put some funny phrasing before, which was cool. And it did tease like Drew was going to beat the shit out of Sheamus. I mean, my guess is that Sheamus is a keep Drew busy guy until whenever Punk comes back. And Seth. I think Seth is out for quite a while now. He's got some knee surgery, but we'll get to that. Or maybe we won't. But Seth needs some time. He needs a lot of time. Sheamus wrestles Nakamura in a bodysuit. This is the battle of the guys in their mid-40s trying not to ache. And this didn't look like 90s WCW mid-40s guys where they're hobbling around. This was two guys fighting through it, and they did. And most part of it was pretty good. Sheamus does win the thing and gives Nakamura the kick and yada, yada, yada. And Drew kind of walks off and he's wearing a kilt and everybody's happy. Sami Zayn, speaking of pale, and he's another guy. He's never had much of a weight problem, but his muscular definition, I'm sure could be left a little to be desired. Still a tremendous athlete. But sometimes us pale redheaded guys, Sheamus and Sami, no matter what you do, you end up with a lot of functional strength, and you have to work really, really hard to just sort of not look like crap when you're pale with red hair, okay? It's a fight. Anyway, Sami Zayn gets his ass kicked by Bronson Reed backstage, and he was talking to a brunette lady with brown hair, as most brunette ladies do have brown hairs now on their head, because it's 2024, man, so brunettes are going to have brown hair. It's just the way it is. Oh, speaking of Sami Zayn, his opponent from last week who attacked him, Chad Gable, is in the ring, and Chad Gable was very good here. He's still got his babyface faction, but he's clearly a heel here. And he's berating them and calling them losers, and they're sad, and he says Maxine's pretty but dumb as a box of rocks. and he makes fun of Takawa's whatever. I don't care. I don't even know what that guy does, but I guess he does a dance of something. Of course he does. And he picks on Otis, and this is fun. Obviously, a seed planted for big old Otis to finally get mad and smack Gable around, and that was the one where everyone thought Otis might, but Otis hung his head down. He's still somewhat defeated. So we're playing that game here, and just enjoying the ride, the big ride here. Escobar and JD McDunfor. Jokes. They wrestle Andrade and Ricochet. I like Ricochet more than I did a few months ago under the McMahon reign. I think Ricochet he's shown a little more attitude. I don't know if his music still has the pew 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 sounds, but I hope they got rid of them. You know what I think hurts Ricochet? I'll just tell you, it goes faster that way. Ricochet, I feel like, I know that's his indie name and they let him keep it and a lot of people love that and blah, 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 blah. I feel like he needs a last name. Like, it's a little hard for me to get behind him just because I keep forgetting he's like a real guy. He's a one-word, like, I can't. And Andrade. I like Andrade. He's tough. He lays his stuff in. I don't remember if he's wearing the mask out to the ramp and taking it off. He should just not do it, I think, at all. Just leave the mask behind. It's okay for your baby face to be manly, and he's like a man. He's like a guy you don't fight, and we know that. Well, from the internet, we know that backstage stuff with Sammy Guevara and whatever. But he's a man, and you just know it. But he doesn't seem like a bad man. He seems like a fair and stern man, like rugged Ronnie Garvin. You know, it's my Bill Burr. It's horrific. Oh Jesus. Not Hacksaw, because Hacksaw was kind of silly, but one of those. Or when Greg the Hammer Valentine was a good guy in 91 for a bit. Like, Andrade is like, it's like, well, he was a man. Like Hercules in 1990. No, that's a bad one because he became bad in the middle of 90. Okay, whatever. But he's not doing anything. He's not doing anything, I think, that hurts him. I think he gets the 1, 2, 3 here. Who does he beat? I forget. Oh, there was this wacky, bizarre finish with this bad boy where I think two guys, there's two teams of two, each on a turnbuckle. And Andrade gives a Hurricane Rana to Escobar, I guess. I don't know. Or no, to JD McDunfor off the top rope. And then seconds later, one is given to Ricochet, probably by Escobar, and that causes Ricochet to flip and land accidentally on JD McDunfor. But they were going for like the senton back against the torso, but it ended up being like a leg drop, but it still was the same. It still worked, so which is fine, and I'm not going to criticize any of that. Oh, look, it was a bot. No, they're only doing the most insane thing you could possibly. Do I recommend doing it again? No, not really. I think it's done. It's done for. And anyway, but the people got what it was, and it still counts as a big spinning flippy leg drop off the top, so whatever. And they get the one. Andrade gets the 1, 2, 3 on done for, and then Priest is very upset and he yells at everyone. And I think he gave Andrade and Ricochet each a finish. I think he gave the Razor's Edge to one guy and the choke slam sit out thing to the other guy. So Priest versus the Judgment Day is the thing, and Finn Balor is clearly not on this show. I guess it was a contract thing. He just re-signed. Not resigned, but re-signed. He signed again, so he's going to be around longer, which is great. But it was better for this story that he wasn't on the show, because if he's on the show, he has to play Peacekeeper. He has no choice. But if he plays Peacekeeper, then the thing is moving too fast. We got 3 hours to fill every week, so it's better he wasn't there, that he can let it. So now next week he has something to say. He has something to do. Finn's going to say, hey, I wasn't able to be here last week, but I was watching. And, hey, Priest, come on. I know you're mad at these guys, but you and I were tag champs for a while. We had our problems and we worked through it. I know you can work through it. Let's just stay together. also for Rhea, for Mommy, whatever, we can, he's going to give that speech, I'm assuming, probably next week, if not the week after that. And that should calm Priest a little bit, but we should show that Priest he's got that title, and now he's feeling the pressure, and he's getting frustrated, and Rhea gets hurt at the same time, and she's a valuable part of the group. So he's, and most Money in the Bank winners, when they win it in these one move kind of fluke matches. So he should have that in his head, and that's the story we're telling. You could care less who his opponent is, I guess. So the Eatster is being fed. Anyway, we are here at our main event. Thank goodness this went long. We have my show, or whatever. The women's battle royal. They were all in the ring, and I don't get on their cases. I'm happy that when they started doing women's rumbles, they made it over the top, just like the men, and not the old Divas rule where you just go out through any rope into the flag, because that sucks. And it makes them look sad. But I used to give this speech in my Hardest Part of the Ring podcast for Never Never. I'm going to give it again. You can give the women all the firsts in the world, the first WrestleMania main event, Money in the Bank, Elimination Chamber, first Rumble, yada, yada, yada. But the ring is still 20 by 20. The ring apron, hardest part of the ring, is still the same height, and the ropes and the buckles are still the same height and the same length apart. So when they run ropes and buckles, they got to work extra hard, and their cardio has to be extra awesome. And getting over the top rope statistically is, because of height, it's hard. It's an over-under reach, and I don't want to get, and it's not easy. And anyone of any height can kind of slip and stumble and mess it up, and so it's very hard. So anytime they traditionally do the under-over grab and out, I'm always like, oh, awesome. But it makes sense that they would have a lot more off-the-apron type of eliminations where they just kind of get hoisted over the top and someone kicks them, shoves them, hits them, whatever. So I forgive, even though those aren't really my favorite eliminations, I let it go, especially in the women, because they're still doing the over-the-top rules, and, it's still a battle royal, which is good. So I enjoy that. They did something interesting during the commercial break. I don't know if this is intentional or not. I hope it was, though, because it was interesting. And obviously they were played, and Nia Jax puts Becky Lynch, who once again is wearing her WrestleMania bottle of Budweiser outfit. Nia Jax puts Becky through the announcer table, and a little bit of a telegraph, but okay, Becky's clearly going to be here at the end. She's either going to win it or be the last one eliminated. It's one of the two things, because she's conveniently laying there. We know she was sick with a strep throat and touring, and I guess she got called. She was going to be away for a while, but because Rhea got hurt, she got called back in the mix. Whatever. So Liv Morgan, of course, is the one who took out Rhea, I guess in real life, and kayfabe, that's such a silly word now, but so there's a good chance Liv Morgan's definitely a contender, a chance to win it here, just because all the heat would be on there, yada yada yada. And Nia Jax is always a viable winner, just because. So they had the Maxine girl throw out Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell, which was kind of cool and fun, and I kind of liked it. Especially because they had that weird thing like months ago where Candice LeRae said something about Maxine's dead brother, and I thought it was really horrible. And at least not on Hulu, I never saw Maxine get any comeuppance. I'm like, the fans need to see that. Personally, a little side rant. I'm done with the heels saying something about some babyface's dead relative. Like, I don't want to hear it. Whether it's someone who is never on camera, like this, or like a Maxine's brother or whoever, or somebody's mother or whatever, or Dusty Rhodes, which is the easy go-to when you're talking to Cody. Either way, I'm kind of over it. Maybe it's just, you get older, you're more sensitive to this stuff, or you just spend more time thinking about mortality or whatever it is, and you just say, yeah, I just don't need to be reminded of what. And it also, I think, ultimately it screws your babyface, because if your babyface does anything other than beat the heel half to death, which they won't, what are we doing, right? Everyone who says something about Dusty Rhodes to Cody should have their eyes gouged out. Maxine should have taken her fingernails and put them right in Candice LeRae's eyeballs at that moment, and she stood there and moped. And now we go from feeling so horrible for our baby face when that happens to stand up, motherfucker. If that were my relative, I'd blah, 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 blah. That's how the audience feels. So, yeah. Okay. What happened next? Why am I looking at this? Who cares? Nia Jax gets tossed by... Becky comes in at the end, so I think Becky and Liv begrudgingly team up to do something to Nia or something like that. Anyway, it comes down to Becky and Liv, and Becky and Liv spend 3 days on the ring apron, dramatically teetering to see who will fall 3 feet to their doom. Becky wins it, by the way. That's fine. 2 things. First of all, the announcers did not mention this, and I was listening very closely. Becky stepped under the top rope, and Liv went over the top. So only Liv is in danger of being eliminated, right? So really, why wouldn't Becky, who can fall to the floor and not lose because she didn't go over the top, why doesn't she just grab her and just jump down with her? She's waiting, doing the back forth. Was Becky supposed to go over the top and just didn't? The announcers just covered, or was it just some oversight from somebody? To me, there was no drama. Becky clearly stepped right over the middle, under the top, and she, after hoisting Liv over the top. But they're both on the apron, so Becky could have fallen off on her ass down to the floor, 3 feet to her doom, and still not lost the match. But either way, Becky gives her the move, and Becky's still clinging to the ropes that she doesn't fall to the floor, which probably wouldn't. You could always injure your ankle. My sprained ankle's doing much better with it. But besides that, she's in no danger of losing. So why is she dramatic, not wanting to fall off? It just didn't. Anyway, Becky wins it. Second thing, and I'll wrap this up. I'm so sorry. The internet's mad at Becky Lynch for winning the Battle Royal and winning the championship 15 days after putting Rhea over at WrestleMania. And I'm very careful with this jargon here, because we throw around the phrase putting over. Like, it means like letting someone pin you. Not really. Hang on. Putting over is like, no, you beat me. I'm laying in a ring in the middle. 1, 2, 3. I'm selling that finish. And I'm not kicking out on 3 or 3.5 or whatever. You have beaten me. Here I am. I'm laid out. I'm down. That's putting over. Okay. That's really putting over. You could say, like, okay, Hulk puts over Warrior, where Hulk does kick out on 3, but for Hulk to, at that level of his crazy superstar, for Hulk to be pinned it at all cleanly was enough. It's very silly. So Becky has put over Rhea, not just letting her pin her, but decisively and cleanly, but more decisively, definitively. There is no doubt Rhea is the winner of this match in such a fashion. A lot of them, Liv Morgan fans tend to have a similar mindset of Sasha Banks fans or whatever. There is a certain absolute forgiveness and cult, like we worship her, like Amber Heard fans were before we find out they were all paid for bots, LOL. Like, she's so mother type of attitude. It's so obnoxious and annoying. Taylor Swift fans, or like Mercedes Moné fans, except Taylor Swift fans, there's a lot of them would be that. But they have that super mentality of just this worship behind ours can do no wrong. She must win all the time, be glorified all the time. There's a worship. It's beyond the fandom. It's really kind of it's ugly how they go about it as an attack to any criticism or whatever. So a lot of them, they spent a lot of time criticizing Becky, calling her Becky Hogan, criticizing her, like, say, as if she's Hulk Hogan, like, that don't work for me, brother, no one can beat me. Becky is not in charge. Listen, I'm no dummy. Of course she is pull. Of course she is input. Of course she has probably a buttload more input and has probably put the kibosh on a lot more things than we'll ever know, or maybe we'll know someday. Most likely, yes. is it possible? I'm making this up out of thin air that she said, hey, you guys brought me back out of my vacation out of nowhere. Give me the thing, you know? Maybe not. Because really, at this point, you know, how much more glory? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, make it worth my while if you're bringing me back out of this vacation I was supposed to have, or time off or whatever. I don't really know. I don't really want to know. But Becky has bosses. Becky has people who can say no to her. All right. It's a bit much. How do we know Becky still isn't gonna? It could be. I hate the word swerve now. It could be a swerve, bro. How do we know Becky doesn't lose the thing at Backlash in a couple of weeks and then takes her time off just to keep us on our toes, just to give us something to think about instead of us staring at a TV with no Becky or no Rhea and lose two major stars for a couple of weeks? How do we know Liv? I'm assuming Liv will still be her next challenger. That's logical because who else is Liv supposed to? They've put all this time in now. So that makes sense to me. It wouldn't be the biggest surprise now if Liv just beats Becky at Backlash and Becky takes whatever number of months she was going to take off, and she just delayed her time off by a few months. Who knows? I don't think that's good either. I'm gonna contradict myself. I don't think that's good either because then it's just Becky can win a battle royal, but she can't win a match if you keep doing. I don't know. But that means Becky's got to win some more matches before losing to Liv, and then but Nia's the one who put her to the table, so Becky has the Nia issue. So maybe Becky's got to beat Nia again. But Becky beat Nia with the what do you call it, the last woman standing. So we did this issue. So I was surprised they did the table thing. Did they just need to take Becky out of the match, which is to keep her safe, which is hilarious because you're having her put through a freaking table. Leave Becky alone. She's not. Becky Lynch is not knocking on my door. She's not kicking me in the balls. She's not breaking my G.I. Joes. She's not stealing my He-Mans. Okay? She's not kicking my dogs. Until she does that, I'm not going to have a problem with it. All right. Anything else? No. That was Raw. Ring apron is the hardest part of the ring.